Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset I want to thank the mission of the United Republic of Tanzania for its leadership in steering today's debate around the new resolution. This resolution marks yet another milestone on our journey towards greater parliamentary engagement here at the United Nations. I am very proud that representatives of my country, led by Ambassador Suleiman, have delivered on this important task today in cooperation with the Secretariat and the members of the Interparliamentary Union. With the world experiencing much difficulty working together within a multilateral setting, parliamentarians have a great and special responsibility to bring people together in their own countries, building bridges between political divides. This resolution recognizes the unique role of parliaments in advancing the United Nations goals to strengthen multilateralism and to advance peace and security, human rights and sustainable development. The resolution comes in the wake of last year's Pact for the Future, a sweeping set of commitments, old and new, that will require strong parliamentary engagement to come to fruition. Action 55 of the Pact calls for deepening the relationship between parliaments and the United Nations, both with regard to intergovernmental processes and to the implementation of the United Nations outcomes. With this, the Pact gives us a strong mandate to persevere on the path towards a more inclusive, transparent, and effective multilateralism system through the engagement of parliaments and parliamentarians as representative of all the people. Like most resolutions of the General Assembly, as well as those of the IPU, this text is the result of a compromise from which further progress can be made. Among the new provisions contained in this resolution, I want to acknowledge, in particular, the greater emphasis placed on the annual parliamentary hearing at the United Nations as a flagship event. A new paragraph acknowledges for the first time our UN partner in the organization of this event, namely the President of the General Assembly. Another important addition is the paragraph that welcomes the work of the IPU Standing Committee on the United Nations Affairs, which works to familiarize parliamentarians with the United Nations processes and reforms. Parliamentarians who are often focused on addressing their constituents' concerns have few opportunities to think about the United Nations as an institution and how this institution is absolutely essential to the welfare of their countries in building the foundations for peace and development for the whole world. The IPU Standing Committee on UN Affairs, also known as SCUNA, is unique in the world with a mandate to help parliamentarians make sense of the United Nations as an institution, including understanding the United Nations budget, the role of the UN, peacekeeping operations, and the functioning of the Security Council, among others. SCUNA debates generate some hard questions for the United Nations officials and ambassadors who participate on a regular basis. But in the end, they conclude with actionable recommendations for parliaments designed to help make the UN stronger and more fit for purpose. This updated resolution contains another achievement for parliaments in a strong new paragraph encouraging member states to engage parliaments consistently throughout the voluntary national reviews that track progress on the SDGs. Indeed, the IPU has been working since day one to engage parliaments in these critical reviews. Among other things, we conduct an annual survey of parliamentary engagement, which shows how little parliaments are being consulted when it comes to assessing national progress towards the SDGs. Better and more consistent engagement of parliaments properly capacitated to participate in these reviews will ensure better accountability by governments. The new language in the resolution puts the onus on the governments to call on parliaments whenever they embark on this important process. With just 5 years to go for the SDGs, there is no time to be wasted. The IPU will do its part to get parliaments ready to make a solid contribution to these reviews. Finally, I would like to highlight the new operative paragraph that acknowledges the important work of the IPU in supporting the ratification of the United Nations Disarmament and Non-Proliferation Treaties. I see this as an important step forward at a time when the threat of nuclear war has never been so near. Indeed, disarmament is key to making this world safer and more peaceful, the most important condition for human development. The IPU is committed to stepping up to the challenge and making an even greater effort towards engaging parliaments in disarmament debates nationally, regionally, and globally. Distinguished delegates, dear colleagues, working together, we can continue to build the IPU-UN strategic partnership and translate words into action for the people we represent. Virtually every meeting of the IPU involves engagement with the UN, featuring United Nations representatives or referring to key UN report or resolution. On the UN side, we look forward to a more consistent effort to ensure parliamentarians are invited here to engage in multi-stakeholder debates as experts and participants, and their inclusion in national delegations to major meetings that are held here. Weekly meetings online and in person at our 2 yearly assemblies and in parliamentary fora, IPU organizes around major UN conferences. The IPU is helping parliamentarians to excel and to deliver on the aspirations of the people they represent. It is parliamentarians who hold their governments to account for the agreements they sign here at the United Nations. It is parliaments that pass laws to ratify and implement those agreements. And of course, it is parliaments that scrutinize and pass national budgets which ensure the government is allocating the money to realize those commitments at the national level. Our 181 member parliaments are committed to helping you, Mr. President, and the entire United Nations institution to deliver on your work. We are working to realize more inclusive and effective parliaments that reflect each nation's population, with gender equality and increase the representation of youth and minority groups. Next week in Geneva, I will be presiding over the 6th World Conference of Speakers of Parliament, which is a unique platform and forum for high-level engagement and dialogue among parliamentary leaders from around the world. We have some 145 speakers and deputy speakers working together to advance strong and effective multilateralism and strengthen the parliamentary dimension of global governance. I am grateful to you for acknowledging this 6th World Conference of Speakers today in this resolution. As the President of the IPU, I believe that the United Nations and the IPU must work together more closely to counter the most negative forces within society. While it held much promise, globalization has weakened the power of governments and put a strain on multilateral organizations like the United Nations and the IPU alike. New communication strategies, technologies connect us across great divides, but too often they also sow discord in societies when what I hope we all want is more tolerance and cooperation. At this critical juncture, we must retool to make our joint action for peace, democracy, and development more effective. I would like to conclude with the words of the former United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Dag Hammarskjöld, who famously said, "The United Nations was not created in order to bring us to heaven, but in order to save us from hell." Now more than ever, in these times of great change and great challenges, the IPU and its member parliaments can assure you here that we are committed to working better, to not only save us from hell, but to help build together the world we all want. I thank you for listening.